What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the MMA show. Every single week, joined by Keg, myself. DC is not here this week. Last week it was me on vacation. This week is DC on vacation. So we got a two-man booth. We're going to break it all down. And man, it is going to be a fun one for sure. In London at the O2 Arena. If it's anything like the last London card, Keg, back in March, even half of the fights that we saw last time, it's going to be an absolute banger. 14 good ones, big card, a lot of big names. A lot of hometown guys, so it should be a lot of fun. Crowd's going to be very engaged. Should be a lot of finishes. I see 10 of the 14 fights are supposed to end inside the distance. It's always a good time. DFS is very interesting, though. A lot of big favorites. And, of course, some of these dogs I think are going to come through. Which ones are going to be the tough part? Excited to dive in each fight, though, talk to you about it. Last week was pretty good I saw for you, Keg. For myself, it was as well. I didn't, again, go by pick for you, but it looked like you were up a couple of units. Keg Live Show did well. I saw people in the MMA chat saying you had some nice calls. So talk a little about last week. What's your mind this week? What's going on?
Yeah, it was a good week, man. It was basically all set up by us getting that Schnell sub prop at like 8.5 to 1. But we did really well. If you watched the show last week, you definitely made money, which I guess is all you can ask for in the end. Back-to-back 11 a.m. starts are kind of unfortunate, maybe.
Not for me. I loved it. I love day fights, man. I love
the nighttime, man. I don't know. I'm a creature of the night. But yeah, I mean, we're here, man. 14 fights. I'm sure we're gonna fly through a few of these and get more in depth on others. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we begin the fights, we got Rummy in chat. What's going on, Rummy? He said head wound from vacation title. No, actually, I split it open a couple of days ago. 2 days ago, actually, playing basketball, put a little butterfly on there, closed it up. Then it fell off. So now just got to wait for it to heal. Hopefully the scar is not too bad, but it was not from vacation. And then Steve Boynton in chat, he said, is Craig the dude who was getting pummeled at the RPS party, then found the sub? That's Paul Craig for you, Steve. Yep, that's the guy you were thinking of. Came through as a dog for us last London card. He's losing until he's not is how he goes. That'll be a fun one to talk about. But I say we dive right into it. 14 fights. Jason Graham, one more thing. I crushed a 6-fight parlay on the prelim because of your insight last week. Appreciate you guys. I can't take credit for that. I wasn't on the show, but Keg was giving winners. DC was giving winners. So we're always here to try and do. We do all the work. We put it in. Not every card's going to go our way, but we'll give our best insight. We have money behind our play. So love to hear that, Jason. Hope everyone's hope everyone's day is going well. Check out the MLB premium show later. Big MLB slate. Pretty much the first slate back from the All-Star break. So I'll be in there diving to picking some MLB winners. But let's get into it. First fight of the night. Not my favorite fight on the card, that's for sure. But Nicholas Dalby, Claudio Silva. I'm pretty much just going to throw it to you, Keg. Most of these, I'll add some insight maybe before if I have something to say. But I'll throw it to you. Get your breakdown. If I have stuff more to add or my thoughts, I'll go that. But we'll go you, then me most of the time. What are your thoughts on this one, man? It starts off with another minus 200 plus favorite, as most of these are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels pretty cut and dry to me. Claudio Silva at 39 years old, still a very capable grappler. His ground game is legit. If he can get the fight to the ground, then, you know, you're in trouble, right? He's got some nice submission wins over proven guys, has a win over Leon Edwards historically. So, I mean, his pedigree isn't bad. The problem for him is if he can't get the fight to the mat, man, he's slow. His footwork leaves a lot to be desired. At 39 years old, you have to assume like his striking just really has never been there. And at some point, this dude is going to hit the wall. Trying to predict when, I'm not sure, but you know, he is what he is as a fighter. Nick Dalby, much better striker than Silva, a grinder, likes to stand in the pocket and trade, but he can also stay at range and attack from there if he has to. His takedown defense isn't that bad, and that's going to be tested for sure at 65% this weekend. But I think if he could stay on his feet, it puts Dalby in a great position to win the fight. Odds open offshore minus 280. He's in that 250 range now. I'll take Dalby to stay on the feet here and grind out a decision at like plus 150. But I don't mind a sprinkle when they're dry title on Silva first round sub at 11 to 1. but I'll go with Dalby decision.
Yeah, no, everything you said makes sense. I don't mind it. I mean, for me, I can't put money on Claudio Silva at this point of his career. His last 2 fights, man, he has looked so bad. James Krause, I mean, that was the last time we've seen James Krause. A solid fighter, of course. Court McGee, another solid fighter, but it's the way he's looked. He has 1 round of cardio, if that, at the end of the day, and he needs to fight on the mat. His takedown entries aren't even good. Like, I mean, I don't know. He has to find a way to land or to find a way on top. I don't think Dalby's going to go to the mat with him. I don't think he's has that poor of IQ. Claudio Silva, 39 years old, who's going to be 40 coming up. I just don't think the dude's any good at the end of the day. Watching the past couple fights, I'm like, how can I put a penny on this guy? We're going to have to take shots on some dogs at the end of the day. If he does win, I think it is first round submission, like you said, Keg, when he is fresh, when they are dry. His BJJ is legit for sure when he's in good spots. But man, Dalby, like, I don't think he's any good by any means. I saw someone in chat made a comment, and I think it had to do with like his Instagram post he had months ago or something. I saw something on Twitter, dug into a little bit, but he looked like he wasn't in the best headspace. He was going through a little stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to put too much stock into that. He's here. He's been training for it. I think Claudio Silva's cheeks. I don't think Dalby's great. Talking about it for DFS though. So we got 8,800 Dalby, 7,400 Claudio Silva. Dalby's going to come in as the lowest owned fighter in the upper tier. If you look at his game log, it's awful. You look at his volume, it's very poor. He doesn't throw it like 3.3 significant strikes per minute or something like that. But this fight's -110 to finish. He's plus 165. Dalby is. Again, these odds could have shifted a little bit here and there. But Claudio Silva just gasses outside the first round. If he has no cardio in him, a lot of people should be able to finish Claudio Silva. Now, he hasn't been finished his last 2. He has survived. He actually never has been finished in his career, but the cardio has gotten worse and worse every single fight. If he comes out here with poor cardio again, anyone can finish someone with poor cardio. I think it's worth taking a shot on Dalby at 8,800. Again, this is more so if you're making 20 lineups or more. If you're only making a couple, I probably don't get to Dalby in that price range, but single entry, you might, excuse me, wow. Single entry, you might see him come in at 5% owned, 6% owned in the bigger $15, 18, I think it is this week, maybe 13% owned on a 14 fight card. When you're trying to get that 100K solo shipper, Dalby could finish this fight. He could put up a big score just because he's going against some punching bag that has no cardio. So I think he is interesting at 8,800. I know it's a big favorite to start. I'll be straight up with it. I have a lot of big favorites on this card, man. Of course, some dogs are going to come through. I think the favorites are rightfully favored. We'll see how it is, but I like Dalby in this one. That's just, I cannot pick Claudio Silva in 2022 at the end of the day. So yeah, we're on the same page there. Don't mind your first round sub by sub bet for Claudio Silva. I do think that is his path to victory. Next fight on the card, Mandy Bohm, Victoria Leonardo. I have nothing to say before you talk about it, Keg. Take it away.
Yeah, this fight blows. This is when you hit the head for sure. So we're on the split prop, obviously at 4-1, but I think the fight's pretty simple. If you think that Victoria Leonardo can get takedowns consistently, then you better this weekend. If you think that Mandy Bohm can stop the takedowns and use that 7-inch reach advantage to work a win on the feet, then you bet her. Now, the public seems to think that Leonardo is going to get the takedowns because Bohm opened -180. And last time I checked, she was like -120-ish. So obviously, I won't have money on this fight other than the split decision prop. But my lean would be, I guess, maybe Mandy Bohm could stuff takedowns and stay on the feet. But honestly, avoid this fight like the plague. I mean, from a betting perspective, unless you're going to hop on the splits with us.
Yeah, I mean, very, very similar thoughts in this one. And on low-level women's MMA fights like this, I look at it for game theory perspective in DFS. Who knows who's going to win this fight? The winner, are they probably optimal? More likely than not, they probably aren't optimal, even though we see fights like this become there. How I look at it, Bohm, 8,400, Victoria Leonardo, 7,800. Steam has been coming in on Leonardo. She's $600 cheaper. At the end of the day, this fight could go off as a pick 'em. Maybe even a Leonardo is a slight favorite. We know how late lines move in MMA and how much steam they get. Leonardo is probably going to be double the ownership as Bohm in this fight. And at the end of the day, I just will take the other side of that. It's worked out pretty well for me in the past. If I don't have a strong lean on it, why not take the less owned fighter by a pretty good margin and Bohm, she has 600 more. Salary means so much on this slate, which is why I think Bohm gonna come in probably one of the lowest owned fighters on the card, 10% maybe, could even see her in the single digits. Where Leonardo, I'd be surprised if she got to 20%. Maybe she gets to 20, like 18, 19, 20%, something like that. Pretty much a coin flip at 7,800 on a card. We're starved for value. So I'm just going to be on your side. Hope Bohm can't stuff the takedowns. She ain't great on the feet by any means, but nor is Leonardo. And just go with a very, very low owned fighter in a coin flip fight in the mid tier. So I'm going to say Bohm because I hope she wins, because she'll be lower owned and DFS wise. I'm going to go more Bohm just because of the game theory approach. But yeah, I don't really have too much more to add. Leonardo's looking for the takedowns. Bohm wants to keep it on the feet. Very, very low level women's MMA.
Yep.
Let's get to the next fight on the card. Enough of those two that I'm not too interested in. This one should be an absolute banger. I'm definitely excited for this one. Jai Herbert and Kyle Nelson going at it. We haven't seen Kyle Nelson in 1 year and 10 months. Jai Herbert, we just saw him on this London card a couple months ago where, man, he got knocked out pretty bad by Ilya Topuria, but he absolutely had Topuria.
He had him so
99% of people are out from that punch. And I think that shows how good. I'm a huge Topuria guy for sure. There's going to be a time I bet against him. Could be soon since he's definitely moving up the rankings. I mean, he came up a weight class, did Topuria. Herbert
was the fight where he landed that sick head kick, right? Right on the shin.
I thought was it a right hand? I can't remember if it was someone in chat will let us know. I thought it was a right hand that absolutely made what I don't know. I thought it was a right hand. You thought it was head kick. Someone in chat will let us know, but he landed a bomb that Topuria dropped. I mean, I cannot believe he survived. Cleared the cobwebs for sure. Came out in the second. Topuria landed a bomb on him. But man, I mean, Herbert's I think he's really good. I think he's technical on the feet. He's definitely big for this division. He has a height and reach advantage in this one. The problem is he's very good offensively striking. He has no defensive striking, and his chin is dust at the end of the day. Now, I said last week, Matt Schnell's chin is dust. I think that kind of showed, but at the end of the day, that man ate elbows for days, right hands for days. He was stunned every single time. He didn't remember him, but he still kept fighting. It showed where the heart was, and he ended up winning. So Herbert's chin's dust, I think a lot of people think that. Can he eat shots from Kyle Nelson? He has power on the feet. We haven't seen him in so long. Talk about this fight, Keg. I expect it to be fun for as long as it lasts.
Yeah, I like Jai Herbert a lot, man. I really rate his.
It was a head kick. It wasn't a right hand. You were right.
Yeah, it was like right off his shin too. It was sick.
I mean, I can't believe he survived. I still can't believe it.
I rate his striking really high. But listen, the level of competition that they put this kid in with, he has fought Renato Moicano, Topuria, and Francisco Trinaldo in 3 of the last 4 fights, and he lost them all, right? But he might have been winning every one of those fights up until he got dropped dead. That, like you said, that's his issue. The chin is a major liability right now, and it's a big concern. But I rate his striking level like miles ahead of Kyle Nelson. And that's why, even though the kid is 1-3 in his last 4 fights, he's still open to -250 favorite and still took money. And now he's -310, right? So like you said, Nelson hasn't been active, hasn't fought since 2020. He's moving up to 155 for the first time in the UFC. I don't think he's necessarily a bad fighter, because he can play that cage control game too, and get those underhooks in. His striking game is very meat and potatoes, but it's just not on the level of Jai Herbert, and that's why I can't back him here. So for me, I think that you take Herbert KO, in that even money -110 range, or you could use him as 1/2 of 2 fighter parlays. I did both. I took him by knockout, and I threw him in a parlay with Mason Jones to get it down to like, I don't know, -120. But other than that, nothing here.
Yeah, no, we're on the same page here. I will say, because we have to take shots on dogs and DFS at the end of the day on this card. I put in the playbook. The playbook's already done. I'm going to put it out after this show for the premium members. If you're not a member, you want to see the playbook, you want to see the MLB premium show, RPS Heater 25, it gets you 25% off. But I put it in the playbook where you have to pick dogs on this card. I'm going to have some Kyle Nelson, and that's because of Jai Herbert's chin at the end of the day. Kyle Nelson, his power on the feet. I think this fight's fireworks. Vegas agrees. Minus 330 to finish inside the distance. Second most likely fight to finish. Kyle Nelson can clip him early. And if he does, Jai Herbert, like we said. So I will take a shot on the dog in some of my lineups. But man, Herbert should definitely win this fight. He's way better.
What do you rate his projected ownership at, Nelson?
Oh, Kyle Nelson. I mean, 10. Playbook. I have 11% for Kyle Nelson.
Okay.
I think a lot of those dogs are just gonna. A couple of them are gonna be higher owned, but I think a lot of the big punt dogs are just gonna be sitting to the 10 to 14% range. And if you get the right one, man, it's gonna feel really good. That's why I like playing 150 lineups, 20 lineups. They have the nice. I write the playbook for the $3 20 entry max that the DK has. They have a good contest that way. I think MMA is more of an MME sport personally. So I'll have a shot on Kyle Nelson. He'll be one of the dogs, the bigger dogs that I do take a shot on because of Herbert's chin. But man, Herbert should walk through this guy, I think, and probably first round knockout is where I'm seeing it as well. So we're on the same page there. Let's get to the next fight on the card. Muhammad Mokaev and Charles Johnson. Mokaev, one of the biggest favorites on the card, sitting at about minus 460 right now. Charles Johnson making his UFC debut in this one. But man, I think the line is a little disrespectful. I think Charles Johnson's better than this line's indicating for sure. But man, I tried to take a little shot on Cody Durden last time against Mokaev. He was a dog that I played plenty of Mokaev. He was in the winning lineup for me. Also played some Cody Durden. Mokaev looked like Cody Durden shouldn't even have been in the same octagon as the dude. We only saw a minute of action with him. I think he subbed him in 58 seconds. I think Charles Johnson's probably better than Cody Durden. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just thinking to myself, man, Mokaev's only 21 years old. That was his UFC debut. There was still a lot of unknowns to come. Is the dude the real deal, Keg, man? I want to say yes now, but I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of myself.
I am in complete agreement with you. This is a really risky fight for this kid. It's a step up in class for sure. Because Charles, his striking, his stand-up game is legit, man.
He's got cardio. He's fought 5 rounds. I mean, he's just a dog. Like, he's a tough
I first started watching him when he fought Royval in LFA. I've been watching him ever since. His striking game really isn't that bad. He stays at range. He's got volume. He can crack. His footwork is good. So I'm impressed with his stand-up game. I don't know if you watched that LFA title fight, but that last round, bro, where he put Mota away was really,
a good fight.
It was really impressive. So, but listen, we know the prospect that this kid is. We've talked about him a bunch. He's a complete fighter. He's got a ton of experience for his age because of that amateur career that he had. And he really doesn't have a weakness, really. I mean, solid striker in and out of range. He's got speed, power, fight IQ, cardio. He's got a very strong wrestling game with a good BJJ acumen. So I understand why he's lined here, but I do think it's disrespectful slightly to Charles Johnson because odds open minus 490. Since then, it's moved to around minus 520. Muhammad Mokaev should win the fight. He's a legit talent. I think he'll probably be in the top 10 soon. But I have to say that every single minute that this fight is on the feet, Charles Johnson is live 100%. So if I was betting the fight, I would take a small shot on Johnson inside the distance at plus 650. And my main bet would probably be the fight starts round 3 at minus 120, because I do think that Charles Johnson is good enough to hang in there for a couple rounds personally, as long as he doesn't give up his back, which he has a tendency to do, which I know Mokaev will hop right on and just choke the last breath out of him. But I do think this can get into the third. Aside from that, though, I would be worried about not having Mokaev by submission at plus 180 in my pocket, but you can't bet everything. You got to take stands. So I would probably take fight starts round 3 and a little sprinkle on Johnson inside the distance, just in case he shocks the world.
Makes sense. My favorite bet in this one's Mokaev by decision. And I love the FanDuel, man. They keep giving out these really good props. Plus 190 on FanDuel, plus 150 on DK. Shows how you always have to price shop. I'm going to be on the Mokaev train. I'm not going to get to too much Charles Johnson. I'm telling myself Mokaev is the real deal. I'm buying into what I saw, buying into all the hype. It's definitely like, I see -600 on DK now for Mokaev. I think that line is too wide. If we're saying betting wise, who's the value? If I had to bet -600 Mokaev or +440 Charles Johnson or whatever, it'd be Charles Johnson, no doubt. Because that's what the value is. I'm never going to lay a -600, but I do think Mokaev does pass the test. Mokaev by decision +190. I just think that number, I'll give respect to Johnson. His cardio is going to be there. He's not going to fade. The worst thing about him is his takedown defense. It looks like his get up game looks pretty solid, all that, but a bad takedown defense against Mokaev is a recipe for disaster. And for DFS wise, we actually hope Charles Johnson does have a pretty good get up game in this fight, because if he does, you could see 12, 13 takedowns from Mokaev at the end of the day, just a rinse and repeat if he keeps getting back to the cage, getting up, and then he just keeps getting dumped. So I definitely do like Mokaev. Mokaev by decision +190 is my route to go, but this is going to be a fun scrap, that's for sure. And people are talking about the weigh-ins, the square offs. I did not actually see that. I still got to go look at the ceremonial weigh-in. I've been a little busy. I heard those two had a really fun one for sure. So excited to check that out. But all 28 fighters did make weight in this on this card. Let's get to the next fight on the card. Another pretty good one. This one should be fun. Jonathan Pierce, Makhwan Americani, two primary wrestlers. Pierce definitely a primary wrestler. Makhwan's wrestling is good though, man. I'll just say it how I see it really quick. I'm on the dog in this one. I don't know if it's because there's just so many favorites that I like on this card that I need to find dogs. I don't know if it's, man, that last London card was very good for me. Makhwan was one of the dogs that was in the shipping lineup. I think his wrestling's better than Jonathan Pierce's. I think his grappling's better than Jonathan Pierce's. Striking, I don't know, competitive, I guess, but I don't think this fight stays on the feet for too long. The big problem is cardio. And that's why I think live betting, if I'm playing Makhwan and DFS, I think a live betting spot after the first round, if Makhwan wins it, which I'm expecting him to, we'll see how the cardio looks with Makhwan.
Yeah, but Jonathan Pierce's cardio blows too, though.
I mean, he's been so good until last fight with Christian Rodriguez. I don't know.
Bad.
It was really, I do like Christian Rodriguez. I will say that I was on him in that. I thought I took the shot as a big dog, up a weight class, short notice. I think the dude's a dog at the end of the day, Christian Rodriguez. But I'm with you. I think the cardio, I'm not even completely sold at after I have been for that long too. I think Makhwan at the end of the day, like, he's the better wrestler. I don't think there's any doubt about it. His submission game's dangerous. Like, man, this dog's not, like I said, is it because he made me all that cheese last card? Is it because he looked good and all that? I think I don't know, man. Talk to me. I think this fight should definitely be closer. My pick is definitely Makhwan at the odds.
Yeah, so listen, neither of them are very good strikers. I think you laid out in a lot of ways, you laid out this fight really well. Both have been knocked out and submitted before. And to me, and I'm interested to get your take, this feels like one of the few fights on the card that you want absolute maximum exposure to in DFS.
Oh yeah, it's me on the mat all day long.
Right. One guy averages 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. The other guy averages almost 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. Neither of them have cardio past 10 minutes, in my opinion. So somebody's probably getting submitted or they're getting finished from pure exhaustion, in my opinion, in the third round, right? Now, the only part I disagree with you on is I think that on the ground, Pierce is probably the better wrestler when he's fresh. And I think Amir Khani is the better submission grappler when he's fresh.
The Ron Murphy fight for Makhwan, really impressive. It was only, of course, he gets knocked out in round 2. I had him as a dog in that one too, but I think his offensive wrestling is going to surprise people in this one. And we'll see, because it's close. They're definitely two good wrestlers.
Yeah.
That's where and it'll be interesting. And like, so my question for you, how willing is Jonathan Pierce? Is he going to be shooting takedowns right away instantly? Because he puts himself in bad spots every single fight. And we just saw what Makhwan did.
I don't really know. Outside of the first round, I think this is a total shit show and really hard to call. But I'm in agreement with you. It's a dog or pass spot for me too. If I was going to, how I would do it, man, like I don't mind the +160 on Amir Khani. If I was going to take Pierce here, it would probably be him by KO at +180. because we've seen Amir Khani be chinny at times.
Yeah,
But
plus 210 on FanDuel, plus 245 Bet Rivers. Always good price shopping.
if I'm looking to get down on Amir Khani, which I might be, it's probably Amir Khani in round 1 or 2 at plus 380 would probably be the way that I would go, because I feel like he's a dead man walking in the third. He just doesn't have cardio that goes that long. So, but it feels coin flippy to me. I agree with you, dog or pass.
Yeah, not too much to add there. If I'm betting Makhwan, I'll have plenty in DFS. I do not live in a legal state right now, so I got to go through hoops. So I probably won't have any bets on it, but I just would take the plus 160. That's good enough for me. Can he bank the first 2 rounds, survive round 3? I think so. Could he find a submission? Yeah. Could he hurt? I don't know. I think there's multiple paths for him. Plus 160, man. I think this is definitely more of a coin flip fight. And again, I don't know if it's because I see all these favorites. You need to pick some dogs on the card. This one, or if what he did last time, he looked pretty solid. But Jonathan Pierce's last fight didn't leave a great taste in my mouth. Makhwan, I think he has plenty of pass. So yeah, both of us on a dog or pass for Makhwan and Amir Khani in this fight. Let's go to the next one. Man, pretty easy one for me. Nathaniel Wood, Charles Rosa. My first sentence in the playbook: Charles Rosa is cheeks and Nathaniel Wood is not. What do you got to say?
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, listen, Charles Rosa is 5-7 in the UFC over the last 8 years, and he hasn't looked good in a very long time. 1-3 since February 2021. Probably should be 0-4, because I think Justin James won that fight by split decision, not the other way around after rewatching it this week. But I think that Rosa, I guess you can say, is kind of well-rounded, but he's much higher level of a grappler, obviously, than he is a striker. The one not going to strike him would probably be his volume, but his chin is held up well. His cardio and fight IQ are okay, I guess. But listen, Nathaniel Wood, man, I like this kid a lot. He took some time away from the cage because he lost 2 out of 3. So we haven't seen him in the octagon since October of 2020.
He was supposed to fight on that last London card too.
Right. Exactly right. After that last fight didn't happen on London, he said he was tired of killing himself and making weight, and he made the move up to 145 now, right?
I like that.
I do too. I think it's going to suit him well, and I think he's a very good striker and much better than Charles Rosa. So the odds open -350 on Wood. Now he's -560. That seems a little high, but nobody's jumping it back Charles Rosa these days. So if I was going to bet the fight, it would be Wood by unanimous decision at even money. Because say what you want about Charles Rosa, he does not get finished. He's got 7 losses, 6 of them are by decision. So he finds a way to survive. And I think he could probably find a way to survive. And Nathaniel Wood wins a really impressive decision here. That would be the way that I would be personally looking. Aside from that, don't see much.
I will say Charles Rosa, he's probably got the best arm triangle defense I've ever seen. Probably the best in the UFC. I will give him that. Don't think it has to be needed in this fight. But I can't just say he's cheeks and just go on about that. I mean, of course, anybody in the UFC is a stud. There's levels to everything. Comparing him to everyone in the UFC, though, I just don't see how he wins this fight at the end of the day. I think Nathaniel Wood pieces him up all day. Volume's there, forward pressure's there. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see him give Rosa the finish just because he's beaten his ass for so long. He gets maybe a round 3, something like that. But I think more than likely, you're probably right about the decision. But, man, even in decision, 150 plus significant strikes, I think you could definitely see something like that in this fight. 9,400. He's not going to be too highly owned. I mean, you can't play everyone. Mokaev's 9,500. Herbert. I mean, there's so many fighters in the upper tier, which I think all eat into each other's ownership. So definitely going to be playing some Nathaniel Wood since I feel good about the win. I think he can finish. I wouldn't be surprised. And even in the decision, I think you can see a lot of significant strikes. So that is Nathaniel Wood and Charles Rosa. Let's get into the next fight. First, we got about 80 watching, 18 likes. Do us a favor, click the thumbs up button for us, please. Takes 1 second. Then that big red subscribe button in the bottom right. We always appreciate it if you hit it. thumbs up, subscribe button. We are all very happy. Always happy talking, breaking down some fights. Love seeing everyone in chat. We got my boy Siggy. What's going on, Siggy? Find the Wall, Marty, Unknown, B Nair, Rummy, Jonathan Nelson, Unknown, K Fleet Burner. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you all hanging out with us. Let's get to the next fight on the card. Yet another big favorite, minus 300 plus. Mark Dicaese and Damir Hadzovic. Keg, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think you can make the argument that Mark Dicaese might be better everywhere in this fight against Hadzovic. We already know how good this kid can be when he commits to a takedown and grappling heavy game plan. It really suits him. And that's what he's been doing lately. And it's been working for him. Now, I do think he can strike. I don't think Dicaese's bad at all. His biggest issue on the feet, though, is how low volume he is. He does not throw a lot of strikes if you look at his significant strikes per minute landed. But on the ground, his takedown and top control wrestling game are really, really good. But it rarely translates to submission wins. It tends to just be control and beating somebody. Now, Damir Hadzovic, I think, is probably a better striker. I like that he always moves forward. He fights behind a solid jab. He carries power. I think he's got a nice counter game in the pocket. But the giant liability for him is his inability to stop takedowns. He's only stuffing the takedowns right now at a 37% clip, which is just not good. But if you ask me what I thought it was like 25%, because we've seen him get taken down as many as 7 or 8 times against straight jobbers, bro, that don't even belong on the roster. So I think that's a real concern here. The odds open offshore, Dicaese minus 300. Since then, he's taken about 60 cents. And I guess it makes sense. He has an overwhelming advantage in this fight that has a clear path to victory. All he has to do is chain takedowns, use his top control, and win a decision. So I'll lean him by decision at plus 140. One bet, though, Title. Interesting bet. Damir Hadzovic should not be plus 380 on the finish only line when you consider how much power that he has. Don't you think that line's off? Like, yeah, you don't lose that bet if somebody wins a decision. You know, the only way you lose that is a Dicaese finish. He should not be plus 380. I wouldn't
mind throwing a little sprinkle on like round 1 Hadzovic too, if you want to hedge yourself before Dicaese can get into his chain and takedowns, can wear in the gas tank if he catches them early. I mean, he's definitely got power. So yeah, I think that finish only definitely, I mean, what, you're only losing to Dicaese finish, eh?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
At plus 380. So I don't mind that, but like the main pick would be, I think Dicaese by decision at plus 140.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. I mean, your first sentence, I agree with you. I think Dicaese is better everywhere at the end of the day. The power, we know MMA, though, those 4-ounce gloves, like you land and you got power, you can knock anyone out. Anyone can knock anyone out pretty much at the end of the day. So that's the only thing I think you're pretty much fading. But man, we just saw Dicaese go 11 for 18 against Slava Claus with the wrestling, over 12 minutes of control time. He didn't even come in known as a wrestler, but he showed he can do that. And now he gets Hadzovic with some of the worst takedown defense at 37%. Dicaese makes for a good DraftKings play, that's for sure. 9,100. You can see multiple takedowns. I saw Rummy talking about it in chat. Thing is, so many of these higher price guys you can make a case for, because a lot of these fights are supposed to finish. Mokaev has passed to wrestling. Dicaese has passed to wrestling. I think Herbert's getting an early finish. It's going to be a very, very fun slate for DFS. And that's why I like the 20 entry strategy and the 150 strategy more than just picking one lineup. But I'm with you. I think Dicaese is better wherever it goes. I think he rolls in this fight, and I'll definitely have plenty of him in this one. Let's get to the next fight on the card. Another big favorite. This fight should be fun as well, though. Mason Jones, Leavitt, Klein. I mean, I love Mason Jones at the end of the day. The dude's a fighter. It's probably one of the most underrated fights you'll ever see, Mason Jones and Mike Davis. If you guys haven't seen that fight, go back and watch that. I wish Mike Davis fought more, because that man can box, man. What a great fight those two were in his UFC debut. He did lose it by unanimous decision. Showed he had one hell of a chin, though. That David Onama fight, love David Onama, as a lot of you guys know. That was a great fight. He won a unanimous decision there. Now he gets Leavitt Klein on short notice, up a weight class at 155. I know he's kind of one of those guys, probably like Nathaniel Wood too. I wouldn't be surprised if he stuck around at 155. He doesn't really love to cut down to 145, but Mason Jones is definitely the bigger fighter in this one. He definitely throws way more volume. Klein doesn't throw a lot. Mason Jones throws a ton. Mason Jones can mix in takedowns. Leavitt Klein, besides that head kick, Keg, which of course he's done in the past, but how does he win this fight, man? I definitely like Mason Jones in this spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. We were ahead of the curve on Klein coming to the UFC. We were on him against Shane Young.
I don't even know if ahead of the curve because I picked him in more fights than just that one, and he did not. He has not treated me well. I thought he was going to be better than he was for sure.
You know what? That's what I was just going to say, man. When I think about how high I was on him coming into his debut, and where I am now on him,
night and day. I definitely got him wrong for sure.
I agree. He looked so average in those losses to Mike Trizano and Nate Landwehr. I don't know if the kid is half as good as we initially thought.
That was bad.
But he's a good kickboxer. Like you said, that left head kick catches a ton of people sleeping. It's a real asset for him. You know, he has some power. He attacks the body. He's got cardio. On the ground, I think he mixes in takedowns well, and he can get them. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to secure them in this fight, regardless if he's moving up in weight or not. Because Mason Jones, bro, he's really good. He's approaching like really high up my list of prospects for sure.
Dude's if someone beats Mason Jones, you have to beat him. Like you have to fight like Mike Davis, like a hell of a fight. But this dude's tough, man.
He's got slick pocket boxing.
He's got a chin too, like that. Yeah. He's got a chin.
Yep. He throws power shots to the head and the body. He's got stamina, a chin. His fight IQ looks good so far. He's well-rounded. He was a top national judoka at the same time he was a pro boxer. At the same time he was heavy into BJJ. So if the kid wants to fight on the ground tomorrow morning, it's going to the ground, bro. He averages 4.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, and his accuracy is 81%. That's stupid. So the odds open offshore -350, basically stayed around where it's at. As high as I was on Klein in that first fight in the UFC is as low as I am here against Mason Jones. I don't see it. So I could not find an individual angle that I liked in this fight. So what I did was I just threw him in a couple parlays, one with Herbert and one with another fighter to get the price down around -120 even money, because I couldn't pin. I think he could win all three ways, this kid. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to win. So that would be my suggestion, to just throw him in 2 fighter parlays. Aside from that, I didn't see much here.
Again, you want to throw him in 2 fighter parlays, you throw him in on FanDuel rather than DraftKings. -355 for Mason Jones on FanDuel, -390 on DK, see -400 at some other spots. So always price shop. Best Fight Odds is the website I like to look at. Very good website. They have all the stuff laid out. You can compare all the books. So FanDuel -355 Mason Jones. I agree with you though. I mean, decision, would it surprise me? No. Finish, would that surprise me? No. Like, dude's very well-rounded. So I'm with you on that. I don't think you need to try and pinpoint which method of victory. Let's get to the next fight on the card. People, we talking about it earlier. Volkan Oezdemir and Paul Craig. I mean, Keg, so Paul Craig absolutely breaks my heart against Sweet Dreams. My boy, Sweet Dreams, Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill thought he was a better grappler than Paul Craig. You learned his lesson the hard way. Hey, it's going to do him good in his career, though. I think that loss is going to be a good thing for his career. And I think he realizes that if he runs that fight back, he knocks him out. I think I'll still keep saying that. But hey, Paul Craig did what Paul Craig did. Next fight, I was like, you know what? I'm taking the dog shot. I don't like too many dogs on the card against Krylov. Paul Craig gets his ass beat for 40 minutes or whatever it was. Comes, he locks up that triangle. I mean, the dude's got world-class BJJ, man. The fight gets to the mat. It doesn't matter where it is on the mat. You're probably going to be submitted. At the end of the day, why is Volkan Oezdemir going to go to the mat with this guy, though? Is he? I mean, Krylov at least has some wrestling chops. Jamal Hill before the fight, he goes, I'm the better grappler. Like he wasn't scared. So like it wasn't the most shock, but what reason does Oezdemir have to go to the mat with them unless he thinks he's knocked out? Talk to me.
Title. This is an honest to God question for everybody in the chat and you. At what point do we stop doubting the Bear Jew?
Well, I didn't doubt him last fight, so it's easier for me because I actually wrote him and he made me some cheese. Because
I think that the fight is cut and dry. Do we think that Paul Craig is going to be able to get Volkan Oezdemir to the ground multiple times to either win by submission or a decision due to top control? Or can Volkan keep the fight standing, go to work on Paul Craig to get a knockout or a decision win? That's it, right? That's the fight in a nutshell. Because we know what Paul Craig is. He's a BJJ wizard. He's one of the best currently on the roster. We also know that his striking skills are really, really bad for the division, right? But his stamina is okay. His fight IQ is phenomenal. And listen, Volkan Oezdemir at one time was a legit title threat, but that no time shit is a fantasy land, bro. Okay, he's 2-5 in his last 7, but he's a much better striker than Craig is. And the level of competition the last 7 fights has been really, really good. And the one thing you can say about Oezdemir is that, you know, he has an 80% takedown defense, which will be tested here for sure. But there's something to be said for the fact that in the Ankalaev fight, the Rakic fight, the Latifi fight, and the Reyes fight, they all went the distance. None of them were able to get him to the ground more than one time in that fight. So I think that there is something to be said for that there. Odds open offshore -200 on Volkan. He's in that -165 range, somewhere around there. It's a tough call for the people that watch the live betting show. Gavin, who is currently in the chat right now as Find the Wall Marty.
Oh, that's him. I was wondering.
He's really high on Volkan Oezdemir this week, way higher than I am. I think that this can go either way, title. I think that Paul Craig could grab another submission and shock everybody again at +250. But I also think that Volkan Oezdemir, especially this fight, goes out of his way to be cautious and ensures that he gets the win rather than looking for a knockout, because you can't go 2-6 in your last 8, bro.
What the knockout come to you with how Craig fights though? I mean,
I don't know. I think that he's going to be cautious, stay away from Paul Craig, and just grind a 3-round decision.
Wow. I mean, I love the. I mean, what -360 is? This is the most likely fight to finish on the cards.
I know it is.
I like it. I like that.
I like Oezdemir +380 by decision.
Yeah, I like that.
But I do think Paul Craig is live at +250 to get a sub here, man.
Oh, he's always live. It don't matter who in the world he's fighting. He is always live.
But yeah, other than that, I don't have anything.
Man, yeah, I mean, so Otters in chat said, what do you think Craig's ownership is going to be title? He said he's probably going to be that most popular dog. I mean, yeah, I have it at 25%, which I think is the most popular dog. Paul Craig, 25%. Wouldn't be surprised a little more, a little less. I don't know. I think ownership's more spread out. 14 fights. The more fights, the more spread out. He's 7,700. He's definitely going to be played for sure. And I'm definitely not going to be fading the man. I don't have that big of stones. But I am in Volkan at the end of the day. Like, why would he go to the mat? I don't think Paul Craig's going to have success with his own offensive takedowns. Like you mentioned, Volkan's takedown defense. So I think that's enough. I think if it goes to the mat, it's because he's pulling guard and Volkan's following him there. At the end of the day, you just got to expect like he's
don't we say
game plan.
Say it every fight though. Why?
Last fight, Krylov.
Why are you going to the ground?
Last fight. Yeah, for sure. But last fight, Krylov, like we know Krylov. I mean, we're going to talk about him pretty soon. We know his wrestling solid. We know. So like, which is why I picked him, because I wasn't shocked to see when that, I mean, and he looked like a genius forward for 3.5 minutes, but still that's how all Paul Craig fights go. Like we were at the RPS party And everyone's like, he's getting his ass beat and all that. And I'm like, Paul Craig's right where he wants to be. Will he get knocked out on the ground? Maybe, but he's at least live when he's on the mat there. Takes him 1 second, man, and it's over once he gets it there. So I'm going to say Volkan keeps it on the feet. I was saying knockout, but hey, I definitely see what you're saying. And with where the odds are at, you're getting a minus 150 favorite. You can probably get plus 400 by decision. Let me check that quick. Plus 380 is the best I see. Yeah. Which I don't mind one bit though, but yeah, I'm going to say Volkan. I'm on Gavin's side, but man, like we say that I'm going to have Paul Craig in some of my lineups. If he wins, if he finds a submission, I'm going to be happy at the end of the day, because that's going to be a 7,700 fighter that more than likely probably finds it.
What do you have Oezdemir's ownership at?
25 too. I put them both at 25.
Okay.
Because it's 8,500, 7,700. And again, that's just a rough estimate for me. I'm off on these all. I mean, I'm never like right on really, but I think general that should be pretty good. 25 there. Fun fight though, man. I mean, we know how to break it down. We will see if Paul Craig pulls guard, or if he can find the way to get to the mat. Because if he does, it's probably night out. Next fight on the card, Molly McCann, Hannah Goldy, another massive favorite. Women's MMA. What do you want besides the split?
Actually, I might make a bet here actually in this fight. Molly Meatball. Yeah, she was on the fight card. Star of the show. She dropped Luana Carolina with that spinning back elbow last time.
That card was so nuts, man. That card was so
crazy. Sick. I mean, people like her because she tries to be a female version of Josh Emmett that just wants to like sit in the pocket, trade, carries a little bit of power. She throws a ton of volume. She's in your face the whole 15 minutes. She's just a tough, gritty broad, bro. You know what I mean? She's a meat and potatoes wrestle boxer.
So fight for your money.
Yeah, she will always fight for your money. On the flip side, Hannah Goldy is pretty awful. I think that she looks like a freak show because she's got muscles on muscles on muscles, but it doesn't mean anything when you don't know how to punch people in the face. And she doesn't really know how to punch people in the face. So she stays outside. She stays outside so far outside that she's swinging at air like 70% of the time. She's not even a takedown threat with all those muscles. She only lands a half a takedown per 15 minutes. So all in all, not a fan of Goldy. Odds open offshore on McCann minus 200. Now it's like minus 390. Listen, I was told to say this on the show. The only meatball that I'm laying $4 on are the meatballs that my Nona makes. Okay. So the play here is obviously we're on the split, but I think Molly McCann by decision, by unanimous decision or decision, either way, isn't awful, because I don't know how Hannah Goldy wins. I've been thinking about this all week. I'm like, just stick to the split prop, or do I get involved here? But title, how does Hannah Goldy win the fight?
I mean, it's just women's. I've been so shocked at lower level. I shouldn't say this is low level, but lower level women's MMA. At the end of the day, though, we're in London. Like, even if some rounds close, they ain't giving it to Hannah Goldy. So, like, your unanimous decision prop definitely makes sense. Which is, but the split still plus 380 or whatever?
Yeah, we'll get 4-1. We'll get 4-1 on the split, and you can probably get like even money on unanimous decision.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. Like, I think Molly definitely gets this fight too. I mean, would I lay -4? Would I even throw -450 in parlays right now? No, I definitely would rather parlay some other spots on this card, but I don't think Hannah Goldy's any good. At least Molly McCann's going to bring the fight. She can't even mix in takedowns, little stuff like that. She's in London. She's got the judges. Like, any close fight, would be shocked if she didn't get the decision there. But look at it for DFS wise, 9,300 for McCann, 6,900 for Goldy. Molly McCann's known for being a decision fighter. Yes, that crazy knockout last fight, but almost everything decision. Can I pay her at 9,300? Not 20 entries or less, 9,300 over all these other top tier fighters. Personally, I can't. Now, she throws a lot of volume, as Keg said. She can mix in the takedown, which would then lead to some control time. I wouldn't be shocked if she was on the optimal lineup at the end of the day, even in the decision, just because of her volume, just because Hannah Goldy isn't good and because she's scoring points like that. But we can't play everyone in the top tier. And I like so many of the other guys up there where I just am not going to get to Molly in 20 entry and below. In my 150, am I going to get some of her? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see how I probably will build tonight, and we'll see how it goes. But 20 entry, which I know a lot of you guys do, or less, I'm not going to get to her. And Hannah Goldy, I mean, she's a punt at 6,900. I want wins, though. I think we do see a couple dogs win, which you will need in the optimal. I don't think Hannah Goldie's that person to win, so I won't really have her in GPPs either. Let's get to the next fight on the card. Nikita Krylov, we were just talking about, faced Paul Craig last time, got submitted against Alexander Gustafsson. What Gustafsson are we going to see, Keg?
Yeah, that's the big question, man. Nikita Krylov, like you don't often see somebody that has 15 wins by submission also have 6 losses by submission.
Yeah. I mean, he's a killer. I like him, man. I like his fights. Killer be killed.
Right. I think that goes a long way to describing what he is. He's a fighter that's almost always offensively minded. Even if he simultaneously is putting himself in harm's way, he doesn't really care. His fight IQ looks great some fights, others you wonder why it's so awful. But I think he's pretty well-rounded, very good a wrestler and a striker. Once he gets you to the ground, he can submit you. Other than that, like we've seen his cardio hold up well at times, and at other times it hasn't looked great. But while Krylov has at least been active in the cage, Alexander Gustafsson has not. 3 times he's fought since December of 2018. All 3 times he was finished. We haven't seen him in the cage in 2 years. Since that's when he went up in weight for the first time. He looked awful against Fabricio Verdun. So the question is, at 35 or 36 years old, how much does Alexander Gustafsson still have left in the tank? If you go back and watch all his fights in the UFC, he's 10-7. There's 17 fights. He's taken a ton of damage throughout.
Hall of Famer. Wars on wars on wars.
So I think it's pretty safe to say there can't be much probably left in the tank, in my opinion. I always thought he was a good volume striker. He never really had like fight-ending power. It was always like he would finish you through an accumulation of strikes, right? But the technique was always phenomenal. And on the ground, he isn't great, but he has a capable submission game. And like when you have 17 fights in the UFC, an 83% takedown defense is legit, bro. So the odds open Krylov -250. Now it's somewhere around -200, I think he is, right?
Yeah, it's even getting a little low. Yeah, -200 about though.
Listen, despite the pedigree everybody thinks that Alexander Gustafsson has, he's still 10-7 in the UFC. So, you know, say what you will, man. I just don't see it. I think that Nikita Krylov, I have to pick the guy that's more active. He's way more active. I think that as long as he doesn't make mistakes that Gustafsson can take advantage of, I think he'll be fine. So I'm going to lean Krylov inside the distance at +130, just based on how awful Gustafsson has looked in the cage the last 3 fights. So I'll say inside the distance at +130 on Krylov.
I agree with you. I just got a quick question before I even break it down. Because I said Gustafsson Hall of Famer. Unknown, I don't think agrees. If Gus a Hall of Famer, you might as well let everyone in the Hall of Fame. Now, I didn't say if I was the person that was in charge and I got the best of the best. I disagree with Hall of Famers that are either left out or in the Hall of Fame in all the sports. But at the end of the day, I think he will be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Keg?
I think he probably will be too, but I don't know if he deserves to be.
I was gonna say that's a whole nother question. I
think he probably will be though. Yeah,
I think he will. I mean, look at who he's fought, all that. Look at the wars he's been in, the great fights, like the time. Like I would be surprised to see him heavyweight. I'd be surprised not to see him in the Hall of Fame personally, but I definitely. People that won't be in the Hall of Fame at the end of the day that will probably be better than him. Yes, I could probably pick out definitely people like that, but just wanted your take on that. But I agree with you on this fight at the end of the day. Gustafsson hasn't won in 5 years, man. Krylov's good. I mean, look what he was just doing to Paul Craig. He's good on
Yeah.
the feet. He can mix in the takedowns. Yes, I think Gustafsson's name is getting I think Gustafsson's name's getting him some hype on this one. And B, just because there's so many big favorites, we're starved to find a dog we feel comfortable with. It makes sense that Gustafsson can be one of those dogs you feel better with. But man, I think Krylov rolls in this one too. I definitely
You think he flies under the radar in DFS title?
not flies under the radar, but let me check what I have both these guys at. Krylov, I have at 25% ownership. Gustafsson, I have at 17% ownership.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's really flying under the radar, but at the end of the day, like we see a lot of these, this could be a different card, like a way more closely lined fights in a lot of them, like last week where we had a lot of closely lined fights, and Krylov could be 35% in this spot. There's just so many good options and so many of the favorites. I think they all eat into each other. So that's why I think we see it. Anyone, if you have to stand in anyone in the upper tier, whether it's Nathaniel Wood, Mokaev, Krylov, anybody at Patty Pimblett, all these guys, go 50% on them. You're going to be overweight, no doubt about it. But we're going to see big scores tomorrow, no doubt about that. Krylov 8,600, Gustafsson 7,600. I'm with you though. I just don't think this is the same Gustafsson. He's been in so many wars. I think Krylov's a beast at the end. I mean, not a beast, might be a little exaggerating, but he's a good fighter, man. Take it to the mat. He's dangerous on the feet. He's pretty dangerous. I got to shout out my guy Hoy in chat. When we said, what Gustafsson are we going to see? He said, the Gustafsson that's been training with Chimaev is the one you're going to see. All right, Hoy. Hoy had a little dog Gustafsson. I like to see it, but I do not agree with you. Krylov is the pick for Keg. And let's get to the next 3 fights on the card. Should be 3 very fun fights for sure. Patty the Baddie Pimblett, Jordan Leavitt. I mean, we all know about Patty. He's very, very fun. He's very entertaining. I mean, I don't know if you saw the weigh-in today or the face-offs.
Did you see the name of the book he bought for him?
No.
He bought him a book named Bitch.
He has been doing. He said I'm gonna squat at him like MW2. He's saying he gave him like the handshake and then he wiped it off. Man, yeah. I mean, how can you not like this guy?
I'll tell you what, bro. Like sometimes I can't stand him, but sometimes he's growing on me.
At the end of the day, he's himself. He has fun with himself. He does his own thing. He has fun. I love him for sure. I think he's overrated to the public's eye when it comes to actually fighting. I think he's a good fighter for sure. I think he's a solid fighter. I think he beats Jordan Leavitt here. I don't know what Jordan Leavitt has for him on the feet in this one. So I tried to fade Patty in his UFC debut against Luigi Vendramini. Still think Luigi Vendramini is the best fighter he's fought. Man, I did not know Patty Pimblett had the chin like Ilya Topuria did, where he got cracked, man. I thought he was going to be out for sure from Luigi. He ate that shit. He said, yeah, we don't get knocked out. And he looks like a madman on the feet in that one. And he's known for his BJJ. You look at like his Cage Warriors time compared to what he is now, his body obviously balloons up, and how he makes that weight cut is out of this world. But he's strong at the end of the day. He is built into his frame for sure with age. His striking's improved. We know about his grappling. Where does Leavitt win on this one? I expected to see Patty minus 300 plus, especially with the name. So the odds kind of surprised me in this one. Talk to me about, obviously we know Leavitt wants to get it to the mat and uses wrestling, but break down this fight.
I agree with a lot of what you said. The only one thing I'll say is like about his chin. We've seen him on rubbery legs a few times.
Luigi Vendramini though cracked him, man. I was counting my money when I saw that. I was like, there's no way. And man, he survived. Listen, but yeah, I hear you.
There are so many things I want to say about Jordan Leavitt, but I don't want to get canceled. Okay. But so
this is not, I'm not the owner of the company. It's not my YouTube channel. So yeah, keep it low key.
So Jordan Leavitt, he's not well-rounded, right? But I think he's a very good wrestler and grappler, at least. Like when he's getting the fight that he wants, he's hanging on you, he's making you wear his weight while he's working for takedowns. If he can get you down, he can submit you. He's proven that. But the knock on this kid is he's incredibly reliant on the fight taking place on the mat in order for him to win a fight. And that's just the stone cold truth, because he has shown better twerking and gymnastic splits in the cage than he's shown striking acumen. So he's a dead nut zombie on the feet, dead. On the other side, Patty Pimblett, I think he's shown nice finishing skills. He's a solid striker that carries power. He can strike from range. He can really hurt you. But I do have some concerns on the feet, man. He is so hittable. And I think his cardio is still a work in progress. And sometimes I think his fight IQ is still a work in progress. But on the ground, he's a capable grappler himself. He can make you pay for mistakes and submit you. So, the odds open offshore -400. That was a little crazy considering how capable of a grappler I think that Jordan Leavitt is. And that's why, Jordan Leavitt's taking about $1.30 worth of money. So I worry about Paddy's cardio title in this fight way more than his chin, because Leavitt isn't a knockout threat, obviously.
I worry about Leavitt's a little bit too. That Claudio Puelles fight, man, he looks so bad. I cannot get that fight out of my head, how bad he looked and how tired he looked on the mat as well. But
I'm gonna pick Paddy. If you had to pin me down on a method of victory, it might be the decision, I think. But what I did was I took him and I threw him in a parlay with the over 1.5 rounds in the Hermansson Chris Curtis fight at even money, which we will get to. I found myself having to bet. I have not bet a parlay in the UFC in 3.5 months. We have been able to find these great plus money spots. This card is the first time in a while where I just think the majority of favorites are going to win and their pricing is crazy. So the only way to get involved with them is throwing them in like parlays to get money down, because a lot of them can win anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think it's a very tough betting card. It's a tough DFS card too, but betting wise, you can at least pick. I mean, I'll play every DFS card who I would, regardless of what it is and stuff. Whereas betting, you can pick your spots more and stuff. But I'm with you. I mean, when you have 10 favorites that are -200 and above, you can't bet that stuff. You either have to parlay them, which I personally don't love parlays. This is definitely more of a yeah. I mean, but it makes sense on a card like this. You pick two you trust, or you pick the method of victory. And I agree with what you're saying, that it's tough. I mean, I'm gonna play some Jordan Leavitt at 7,300 because I looked at the odds. I thought it was gonna be -300 plus. The odds were not that. Sometimes when the odds are shown, like, and he has a path to victory. His wrestling, his grappling, like, I don't know. I think Paddy probably rolls in this one. I mean, and the feet, like, how does Jordan Leavitt? All he does is spam leg kicks at the end of the day. How is that going to work against Paddy? I mean, the power he's showing against Luigi Vendramini and just walking across like a madman, I would not be surprised to see a first round knockout just because of that. Now, if Leavitt can find a way to get takedowns, neutralize it, grind it against the cage a little bit and stuff, yeah, decision I can see too. Again, does Jordan Leavitt win a decision? I mean, man, he'd have to clearly win 2 of the 3 rounds. Any close round, you have to think goes to Paddy, which I don't mind your Paddy decision take because of that as well. But I think Paddy's a solid fighter. I cannot wait to fade him. I tried to fade against Luigi Vendramini. It didn't work. He's definitely my pick in this one. I don't think Leavitt's the guy. UFC knows what they're doing at the end of the day. I think I'm going to say he knocks out Jordan Leavitt. That's my pick. For DFS wise, 8,900. Definitely will have some. Jordan Leavitt's going to be one of the dogs. I take it 7,300. There's a lot of other ones we talked about. Klein, Hadzovic, Rosa, them. I love Leavitt. I think his chances of winning are a lot better. So he'll be one I mix in, but he definitely is not my pick. I do think Paddy does get the job done. 2 fights left. This one should be a fun one as always. Chris Curtis is in for Darren Till to take on Jack Hermansson. You mentioned already you like the over 1.5. Hermansson quick. He opened -160, Curtis 140. Curtis got immediate buy to about -130. Hermansson's got some buyback, sitting like -115, -105 now. I mean, man, what a roll Chris Curtis is on. Took the fight on short notice. I don't even look at that stuff for Chris Curtis. Sean Strickland, all those guys, they're in the gym doing the same thing every single day. 185. All 3 of his fights have been at 185 thus far in the UFC. He usually is a 170, but I'm not worried about that either. He's been at 185. He doesn't have to cut weight. Hermansson, though, it's a step up in competition, I think, for sure. I mean, Phil Hawes, very good fighter. Hermansson brings in a different element. Brendan Allen, I think Hermansson's better. Rodolfo Vieira, Hermansson's definitely well-rounded. Those are definitely 3 good wins, but man, look at where Hermansson's lost to. It's only the best of the best at the end of the day. Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier, Sean Strickland. Is Chris Curtis on that level? Talk to me, Ken. This is gonna be a good fight. I have my pick. I know I'm gonna have more of, but I'm not confident about it one bit.
I think that's a pretty accurate way to describe how I feel too. Listen, I continue to love this story. 3-0, finally gets his break at 34 years old. He's making it fucking count, which I love. So good for him. We were on Curtis in the Vieira fight and Title. You watched that fight?
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
That was one of the best 15-minute exhibitions on takedown defense that I've seen in a long time.
I'll give props to Rodolfo quick too. His cardio was better than I thought, and that man is tough, man. He
looked like a video game.
Yeah, that was a really good fight. And Chris Curtis gave Rodolfo his props too. That was a good fight. But that takedown defense, his sprawls, you saw them all coming. He had no chance.
I mean, he was so deep into some of those takedowns, and he still could not get them. But aside from that, sick defense, solid striker. He's got power, speed, footwork, endless cardio, terrific fight IQ. I'm a big Chris Curtis fan. We backed him all 3 times. He's now gone 3-0 for us.
I was the fish on Allen, unfortunately. I didn't have enough Curtis. Was all over him against Hawes. He cashes. Jumped on Allen, looked like a fish. I will say that. You were smarter than me.
So Jack, now on the other side, Jack Hermansson, I agree with you. Step up in competition. He's really the complete opposite of Curtis. When he's at his best, he's getting the fight to the ground. He's working that submission game, which is excellent. But he's well-rounded. His striking is not bad. It's
underrated, man.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. He attacks the calf well. His fight IQ is above average, right? So I like him as well. He opens minus 160. And since then, Curtis took about 50 cents. The line's a coin flip.
Yep.
All right. So this is another tough fight to call on the card, but I am really confident in one aspect of this fight. I think that it's going the full 15 minutes. In my opinion, the best bet in this fight is that the fight starts round 3 at minus 120. You were still able to get that at PointsBet a couple days ago. Curtis is not getting subbed by Joker in the first 10 minutes of this fight, in my opinion. And I don't think that Joker's probably getting knocked out by Chris Curtis in the first 10 minutes of this fight. They are both 2 smart veterans. They have a ton of cage time. I think that whoever wins this fight will win it by decision. So that's probably my favorite bet on the entire card. With that said, I think that you can make an argument that you take both of these guys by decision at an average of somewhere between plus 250 and plus 300 and kind of get a scrape, because I really do think that it's going to go deep into this fight. But for me, the bet is fight starts round 3, minus 120.
I like that bet starts round 3. I'm on the same page there. I think Chris Curtis is tough enough. I think his takedown defense or submission defense, I think he can do enough to survive. I don't think Chris Curtis is finishing Hermansson. My pick in this one, I'm jumping off Chris Curtis in this one. I need to see him do it against someone like Jack Hermansson. Hermansson's bigger. He's the natural 185er. I think he will get this fight to the mat at some point. Now, will Chris Curtis get back up? Is the wrestling going to be too much of a game, or is he going to have a ton of success throughout the 15 minutes with it? I'm not confident at all in saying that. I just think he's going to be better than 0 for 20 or 0 for 15 or whatever. I think he is going to secure a takedown. And I just think his striking is so underrated as well. Now, I do give the slight advantage of Chris Curtis. I love how he mixes to the body. Those body shots that he invests in pays dividends as the fight goes on, which another reason could be a good scrap, 15 minutes, the body shots, wherever Hermansson. I do agree with you. I do think it gets a decision. If it doesn't, I think it's because Hermansson does just find a sub and he just shows, man, I mean, I'm better than the 3 guys that you beat at the end of the day. I like Hermansson. I'm getting a little dog money. I mean, I don't even know if I am anymore. Maybe he's minus 110 a piece or something like that. There's better dog money out there a little earlier. I'm not confident, like I said, in it, but man, you just got to show me one more time, Chris Curtis. And if he shows me one more time, he's going to get a complete stud. I don't know who he's about to get. And I don't think I'll probably back him in that fight either, but very
How
close.
Are you approaching DFS wise?
They're 8,200 and 8,000 on a card that I don't like a lot of. I think this fight's a pretty high paced fight. I don't like a lot of value in it. I'm going to take good amount of Jack Hermansson at 8K. Hope he can mix in some takedowns. Hope he maybe can get some top control. I think both these guys land some good significant strikes too. He gets me a win and he even gets 85 at 8K. I'll live with that and go that. I'll have some Chris Curtis too. I play 150 lineups. I play 20 lineups. I play all of that stuff too, but I'm going to have more Hermansson. He's $200 cheaper. And that's just because he's my pick to win. If you think Chris Curtis wins, you get more than Jack Hermansson. The 200 shouldn't mean anything, but I think the ownership for these guys, very, very close. I'm just going to go Jack Hermansson this one. Again, not the most confident, not something I'm going to plant my flag on and bet on it. But that is my pick. It should be a great fight though. I think this is a better fight than the Darren Till fight. Actually, I like watching Chris Curtis fights and the story's been great. So that is the co-main event. One fight left on the card. This one's going to be fun, Keg. Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blaydes, two of the top 4 heavyweights in the world, in my opinion. I mean, I think I know where you're going with this one. You have to. So you can take it away. You're on Volkov against Aspinall. You got to go back to Blaydes at dog money, right?
No.
Talk to me, Keg. Talk to me.
No.
Get me a little excited.
So, all right, listen. Title, the first thing that's crazy about this fight is that in 15 fights that Curtis Blaydes has had in the cage, in the UFC cage, he has never closed the betting underdog, not even against Francis Ngannou.
Saw that. Crazy.
So if Tom Aspinall closes, which it looks like he's going to, I think.
He's definitely going to
close the betting favorite. That's pretty substantial to me. That's the first thing in my mind, right? I think he's a gifted striker. His hand speed compared to this division, I think is night and day, especially compared to Curtis Blaydes. And I think that's the biggest edge that Tom Aspinall has in the fight, his speed inside the pocket. I think that he will hit Curtis Blaydes 2 to 3 times for every time he gets hit. So that's a big concern for Curtis Blaydes. On top of that, nobody talks about the level of grappler that he is. He is an extremely high-level grappler. He was a grappler long before he started boxing. He could submit you on the ground for sure. And the one thing I will say is everybody's blown him for 100% takedown defense. He's defended 2 takedowns.
Yeah, you can't. That means nothing so far.
That means that right. But all in all, I love Tom Aspinall. I've been a fan for a while, but sometimes you bet against guys that you love. That's what I did in the Volkov fight. But what that fight proved to me is how much speed matters at heavyweight. And Curtis Blaydes, he's slower in the pocket. Now, he's been the best fighter in this division, not named Francis Ngannou, for the last 7 years, in my opinion. Now, I would have even had him over Stipe. That fight never happened, but
I definitely would have.
I would have bet him against Stipe, right?
I mean, Blaydes is just such a tough fight. I mean, even if they fought Francis again, I got plus 200 something, I'd probably be on Blaydes.
Yeah, so he's so good because he's not a bad striker, but his ground and pound is ferocious. And while he's not a submission threat, his top control wrestling game and
it's just different in the heavyweight division. We just don't see it.
Yeah, you're 100%. So I love Curtis Blaydes, but I am going to fade him and take Tom Aspinall on the money line because I think Curtis Blaydes will be an underdog the first 10 minutes of this fight, probably pretty substantially. And I think even if he secures an early takedown when they're dry, Tom Aspinall is going to be able to threaten submissions and probably work his way up to the ground, back up to his feet, in my opinion, when they're dry. But I just think that hand speed in the pocket is so substantial, he's going to catch him. I think he's going to catch him probably before Curtis Blaydes even attempts the first takedown. That hand speed is a different level, man. It's crazy. So I'm taking Aspinall minus 130. And if we see the fight go into the 3rd round and Blaydes doesn't look bad and he's plus 300 or plus 500, maybe I'll take a little stab as a hedge to make sure I lock profit in any way. But going into the fight, it will be with Aspinall minus 130. I got, or minus 135.
I love everything you said. And I mean, what I think, Aspinall's been my boy this whole time. He's 5-0. I think he's been an RPS tag every single time. This fight gave me so many problems, though. Back and forth for multiple weeks. I've been back and forth on this, and the line was not like minus 140 Aspinall where it was. It was like minus 110. Blaydes was a favorite at some point. When Blaydes was a favorite, I was like, Aspinall is easy for me. I'm getting Aspinall at dog money, and now I see minus 145, which is a little harder. What it came down to is, like you said, speed kills, Keg. And this is a grown ass. I mean, he's massive at heavyweight too. 6'5", he's got a perfect frame. But he is so fast on the feet. And Curtis Blaydes just isn't at the end of the day. I don't feel as confident that even if Blaydes gets a takedown, I don't feel as confident. We don't know what the defensive grappling or the defensive wrestling is going to be. His submission game, I mean, what he did to Volkov, absolutely phenomenal. We know what kind of wrestler Curtis Blaydes is, though, as well. So I don't know if the fight gets to the mat, how is his defensive wrestling going to be? Is he going to be able to get up the feet, or is he going to be stuck for 3 minutes on the ground, which would be scary? But my bet is I'm saying Curtis Blaydes isn't going to get the fight to the mat, because on the feet, there's night and day difference, I believe. Curtis Blaydes has worked on his wrestling coming off a knockout, or he's been working on a striking coming off of a knockout, but there's levels to this. Tom Aspinall is a legit striker with his feet. I think he spams the low kicks. And man, I think he touches them early, and I just don't think Blaydes is going to have any answers for it. I think first round knockout for Aspinall. He's been my boy this whole time. In 150 lineups, am I going to have 150 Aspinall, no Blaydes? No, I am not. In 20 entry, am I going to have 100% Aspinall and no Blaydes? I am personally. I would not fault you one bit if I put in the playbook. Again, it'll be up in 10 minutes probably. If you only play 20 lineups at $3 20 entry max, and that $60 is your bankroll for the week, I wouldn't go in all in Aspinall like I am. I would go 70% Aspinall, 30% Blaydes. I wouldn't be shocked one bit if Curtis Blaydes wins this fight. And if Curtis Blaydes wins this fight, I think he looks minus 400, Keg, because I think the wrestling is just going to be different. Tom Aspinall he has the grappling, he has the striking, all that. He's not even close on the same level as Curtis Blaydes wrestling. And wrestling's different. I mean, that's the one thing that I can say Curtis Blaydes. Cardio, maybe, which probably, but I still don't even like the cardio aspect. Kind of like the Jonathan Pierce, Curtis Blaydes has good cardio, or he has. I don't think it's as legit as some people are making it out to be. And I am scared. I go back. The one worry, Tom Aspinall fight against Arlovsky. Tom Aspinall didn't look great in that one. He looked to be a little tired going in the second round. And then what he did, he made it look so easy. He got the choke like it was nothing. But the cardio, a little concerned. Wrestling's the only thing I can say Curtis Blaydes has. But if he can't get within the legs because Tom Aspinall's too fast on the feet, the movement's too good, I think he touches him up and backed him every single fight. I said this dude could be a future champion. The vision's tough for sure, but this dude has all the tools, man. And I got to ride with my boy one more time.
So I agree totally. And one thing I will say for people that are watching that are like hardcore recreational bettors, what I do, and I would encourage you to do, is make individual spreadsheets for the majority of fighters that are in the UFC or any other organization that you bet, and you log every time you bet on them and what your record is on betting them, your return on your investment. So I went back and looked, Title. I have been involved in 13 out of 15 Curtis Blaydes fights.
Wow.
I bet against him once, and it was Francis Ngannou. It was
so you got to have a pretty good ROI on that bad boy.
Yeah, but this is the second time I'm going against them.
I mean,
you're right. Speed, that's what it is.
I mean, I love Blaydes. Blaydes against Cyril Gane. As much as I love Gane, I mean, I might be taking Blaydes is just a tough matchup for anybody in the division. There was a Twitter video going around this week where Tom Aspinall, 9 months ago, he talked and someone brought up the Curtis Blaydes matchup. He goes, man, that's a tough one for me. Talking about everything, how he mixes in the strikings, the takedowns, all that. And I mean, Tom Aspinall's a third favorite fighter, I think, in the whole UFC. He's just a generally good guy. And listening to that was so cool, so humbling and all of that. But he realizes Curtis Blaydes is a tough fight for anybody. But at the end of the day, Tom Aspinall's a beast, man. Speed kills, the grappling he has, his boxing he's been working on. We'll see if he can keep it on the feet. That's what he has to do. It's in London. It's in his crowd. This card is going to be absolutely amazing, though. Okay. I hope the boy Tom Aspinall comes through for us again, like he has been in the past. 10 fights of the 14 are supposed to end inside the distance. It's an early morning one. Get up, get your coffee keg, and do whatever you got to do. You got to be up for it as always, though. But man, any last words you want to give the people? It was a fun show, almost an hour and a half. Should be a good one, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fights.
Are you gonna be live? Tell the people, Keg Live, if you got to find them, where they find you.
Yeah, we'll be live for the Keg package for the Kegcast. We'll be
Where
live.
Can they find that again?
You can just go right to the website and you'll see it under all the packages. It's the one all the way to the right. But we'll be live for that, for every NASCAR race this weekend. So let's make some money.
Absolutely. It was fun, everybody. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us in chat. Hit that like button on your way out, please. Check out the MLB Premium Show. Big slate tonight for MLB. Always money to be made. Check out Keg's live show tomorrow. Hope you guys and gals all enjoy these fights. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to do it for us, though. For Keg, Helmet Behind the Sticks, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.
Later.